Hey guys, well here it is. Here's our new trailer, or I should say new to us. It's a 2006 make, and it's a 18 foot with the 2 foot dovetail on the back there, and it's approximately 6 foot 10 inches between the fenders. The fenders are supposed to be removable, but I'll show you in a second why they are not, so those will definitely be changed out and repaired. Overall, the boards are in pretty decent shape. They've obviously been used and they've shrunk, and it's dirty from having different vehicles and stuff towed on it. The guy mainly used it for ATVs and four-wheelers, but we do have a power washer now, so we're going to go ahead and actually power wash these boards off here very shortly, so we'll have a video of that, just because I'm curious to see how well these things clean up. The underside actually doesn't look too bad, so it should be pretty unique for this. We'll just do the full walk around. So obviously it's not the most heavy duty trailer, so it's rated at 7,000 pounds, but for most of what we're hauling this will be sufficient. It's got a good C-channel cross piece there, so you can keep from driving over the edge. One criticism is there's really nowhere to hook a chain to on the front of the trailer. There are a number of these C-channel pieces welded onto the side, so that'll be great for straps going across. But when I'm hooking a chain up to the front, there's nothing there. So I've ordered some big hooks that I'm going to actually weld onto the front here, so I can hook a chain to both the front and the back. So that'll definitely make hauling a little bit easier. As well, there's not much up here. Seems kind of like wasted space, and we've got our nice winch now, so what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take some angle iron and we're going to build up a stand here so that way we can actually mount our winch up here in the very front and make it a little bit more permanent. What we were doing before was actually keeping it in the back of the truck until needed, and then putting it into position on our old trailer. So I'll try to make it a little bit more fine adjusted, and that way it'll ride better too, and provide good strength above all else to keep it safe. With the trailer not being quite as long, I need to make sure it's as far forward as I can get it, but also without compromising room for the jack. Right now I've actually got the jack removed. The one that was on it was kind of messed up, so I took one from another trailer that we had. It's just in the bed of the truck, but unfortunately it just doesn't seem to want to ride very well. This tongue is relatively short compared to that jack, and so I'm going to actually have to move the mount for the jack back ever so slightly. A few inches would make a big difference, and then that would solve the issues. Again, overall, the bones are all good. The metal is all there. There's a lot of surface rust, as you can see in the video, and the worst problem is the fenders. These things are tore up. So they're supposed to be bolt-on, and what the previous owner had done at one point, apparently this thing broke, and so he ended up going and just welding it right to the trailer, not even welding it into the proper location. It's like 3 inches higher than it needs to be, which is okay. And at this point what we're going to do is we're going to cut off the fenders that have been welded. That one is still over there on that side, is still removable. It is very flimsy as well. So I've already got those on order at the local trailer place. They're going to be helping us out there and getting some new fenders that are removable. They bolt on at the ends, so that won't be too big a deal. We'll just cut those off, put the new ones on. That'll be new skin. These things are definitely used up. There's a lot of dents, imperfections. It's separating here along the back. The backing isn't even attached anymore. And at some point there was some angle iron the guy had added as well, so we're going to go ahead and remove that and clean that all up too. One other thing, so let's keep on walking around. You can see there's these hooks on the back. Well, at one point this thing had ramps that were mounted on the back, and the gentleman that we got the trailer from said that they just kept falling down on him apparently. And so what he did is he took angle iron and actually built the little hangers on the bottom. See if we can get you guys a better view of it. But you can see the angle iron pieces underneath there. So the ramps just slide in the back. They have a pin on each ramp that just keeps them from falling out. Well, unfortunately, with that, it really limits our underside clearance. And so we're going to need to reconfigure that. I'm going to cut that angle iron out. And what the new model of these trailers have is they now have a step right here. So a piece that comes out, another piece of angle iron comes out about a foot, and they've actually made a step. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the angle iron from the back, move it to the side, so now the ramps can slide into the side. And what that'll do is that'll keep the ramps a little bit more secure, because right now, with the way that it's configured, the pins are on the back, and if those pins for some reason decided to come loose, out come the ramps. There's just nothing you could do about it. At least this way, if I'm sliding them in from the side, one, they'd be less likely to ever really come loose, and if they do, they'll want to start sliding out, and at that point I would be able to see that easily in my mirrors and be able to pull over before there's a problem. If the pin comes loose on the back, the only way I would know is if somebody starts flashing the lights that I have a ramp about to fall out, or I just hit a bump and it just pops out and I never even know it. The other issue I'm having here is the wiring with the lights and the brakes, honestly. Just needs a little bit of an overhaul. It is the original wiring for the trailer, and just over time in these kind of conditions and road conditions, the wiring just becomes brittle and broken. So right now only the driver's side tail light and brake light works. This one over here did have a broken wire. We fixed it. Unfortunately, it was not enough to solve the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and just replace these lights. They're kind of busted up anyway, so I'm going to put new lights on it, new wires, as well as I'm going to fix the wiring to the brakes. So now the brake is going to work. It only has brakes on one axle, but honestly for what we're going to be hauling, that is more than enough. And some of the boards in the back here have become a little loose. You can see the screws have started to come a little loose, so we're going to go ahead and tighten those up as well. And then just keep walking around. Overall, things are in pretty decent shape. Again, the fender here, sorry, looking at the ramps. The fender here is also needs replaced. It just looks really bad, and so we're going to get that changed out. Definitely going to go ahead and get this thing a new paint job, get those hooks mounted like I talked about. Oh, and I completely forgot, I kind of passed on it on the other side. As you can see, the one tire was going soft. And it doesn't take very much for it to go soft. This one rear tire. The other ones are okay. Still not the greatest, but they probably have another season of wear left on them. But this one, you can see it is really poorly worn. Now, my first indicator was wondering, hey, is this axle bent by chance? But after seeing how quickly this tire goes flat, I think what honestly happened was the previous guy would just start hammering down the road with a low tire, and it just wore bad. Or if he drove a long distance, it went flat enough after you sit all day and then try to come back home. Might have just been enough that it was low and wore really poorly on this side. It's the only tire that has that, so which makes me think it's not so much a bent axle. And again, we kind of checked it out. The axle itself looks just fine. Just rusty, but that's true with all this thing. So we'll take a wire wheel to it and get it all cleaned up and looking good. And the board's power washed. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is either try to find a new set of tires for this thing, or wheels and tires, depending on what kind of deals are out there. And when it's all said and done, we're still going to be well below what it would have cost to buy the brand new version of this trailer. And it'll have a little bit of miles and wear on it, but for what we're going to do this way, I don't care if I drip fluids on the boards or accidentally have something cut it or scratch it or scrape it. And then also this way I have the freedom to go ahead and weld on a bracketry to the front for a winch and reconfigure the ramps on the back to be more of what I want. So excited to see how good this thing works out for us. It'll be, again, kind of on the smaller side from what we've been using to haul our trucks, but for the figure 8 race car and the Camaro that we're going to be running this year, this thing will be more than adequate, and it'll get the job done. And then this way too, doesn't mean as much for you guys, but we do other projects around here as well. And so other than just derby stuff, sandrail, and all kinds of other hot rods and stuff. So this will allow us freedom to be able to haul more stuff, and even lawnmowers or whatever else the need might be. So there you go, guys. There is our new trailer. A lot of work in store for this thing, so I'll try to snag a video or two along the way of us fixing this thing up and then show you guys what it looks like after the fact. So there you go, and until the next video, we will talk to you later, guys.